No, I was supposed to do this days ago, but welcome back. Um, I was supposed to be doing this uh video about the way that they want to basically change our money or our full money system in general. I think I said probably Friday or Saturday. I had made a post basically letting everybody know that America and not the United States had declared their independence from the Federal Reserve on the 4th of July of 2025. So that led me, well, actually, that's not what led me. Um, there was a post that a friend on Facebook shared stating how the United States federal government had set up something on Venmo for Americans to donate to pay down the country's debt. And my thing was, whose debt are they talking about? If you're talking about the country's debt, that ain't got shit to do with us because, the people, we still in debt on our own, according to y'all. So I know a lot of people may not know there is a website. It's called usdebtclock.org. You can see it at the bottom of this page that I have up here on the screen. The page says the new money revolution, the USA Treasury, dividend dollar, 100%, the golden age, or excuse me, a golden age. And I did speak on um, this new era or age that we are transitioning to. And it's not just the United States, it's the whole planet. Let me make sure I got this stuff so that I can go ahead and hit the next one. Okay. So I spoke on a golden age last week, or what they would also call the light age, spiritually. The golden age is supposed to be, again, the new age or the new era that we're going into. We're leaving the it's so many names, the Roman age, if you'll say, whatever era or age that they call this, because probably 15 years ago it was something totally different. And that's only because they changed the names of things throughout history. And if you've been paying attention, if especially like somebody my age that was born in '88 and now it's 2025, things have definitely changed. The names of things have changed. But the golden age is the new age and era that the planet is currently going through. Um, that's why there's so much chaos, and it's only going to get worse. I'm just going to be honest about that. So that's why they've been saying for the past, actually since COVID, to prepare. Um, I'm getting more prepared every day, and I just try to get everybody else ready for the same thing. But the golden age is again the new era in age that this world and this planet and everything about us is going into a different age. And that's why there's so much change happening right now. A lot of chaos and famine and war and all of that. It's all changing. Now, I guess I could have pulled up a full screen. I probably won't do that today. But again, what I am going to go over is from the website, a website I've known about for years. It's called usdebtclock.org. On the usdebtclock.org site, Canada has one too. So if you're in Canada, yours is called debtclock.ca, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sure other countries have one as well. And I'll try to make this quick because I know how I am. But this website has it has our country's debt per capita, per state, per citizen. It breaks it down. It has Medicaid. Um, how many people are on SNAP? How many people are on disability? There is so much. uh, there is so much on usdebtclock.org. You can find prices for the current prices and future prices and past for oil, gold, silver, any mineral you can think of, anything that has been traded in this country. As a matter of fact, let me go on here now and just kind of highlight a little more stuff. These are just things that um I didn't see that when I was on here Friday or Saturday or Thursday. This is crazy. Yeah. So you get on here now and it says the Fed. This has the Fed's. It has a 1913 on the building of like the Federal Reserve Bank, and it says under construction and out of time. So one side, we're dealing with two sides right now. We're dealing with the U.S. corporation. We're dealing with the United States of America. Um, and they also said that there's a free PDF. So this is definitely new. Nope, nope, I already have it. Okay. Well, again, that wasn't there when I got on here. Um, Thursday or Friday, whatever day that was. Okay. Let me exit out of there real quick. But it does say at the top, I probably did. I exit out the last time. It says at the very top of the website, usdebtclock.org, if you look to your right, there is a little button that says open on the left side, right on the close, which means it does have to do with the reserve. It says secret window. And you click on it, and this same PDF that you're looking at right now is actually on there. Again, a lot of things that they have on here. Let's see. U.S. federal tax revenue, total state, total local, total state debt, debt per citizen, local debt, and per citizen, municipal employees, has average salary, U.S. gross domestic product. I'm not trying to hit everything on here. Dollar supply added, oil to solar ratio, healthcare costs now, and then they have, and I'm just gonna say this. It says $15,663 now. But it says the healthcare cost in the year 2000 was $5,457. So you definitely know that they're going up. There's other stuff on here. They have a thing where it says largest budget items. You have Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, interest on debt, defense and war, which is, and I'm going to say all of these are actively climbing. Let me see here. Oh, so they added the Dodge clock. Um, hmm. Okay, that's crazy. And that has a savings per taxpayer amount. Um, I'm not trying to say a lot of this is realistic, but they truly do try to keep track of everything. There's also your private job sectors, your U.S. jobs, the workforce. This tells you how many people are in it. A lot of this is based on average, so it's not like a definite number. This is all average. You have your median income, your United States bankruptcies, how many bankruptcies, foreclosures, how many people living in poverty, people without insurance, how many people are homeless, drug deaths. Now that's the new one that they've added on here. Drug deaths. Dollar to crypto. Let's see what else. Okay, here's something interesting. Okay, you have the Fed fiat dollar. A lot of people don't know what that is, but that they have a dollar loss in value from 1913 to now. The fiat, the federal fiat dollar, which is your green money that you're holding or that you trade out. Um, from 1913 to now, it went down 96.23%. And then on the right side, you have your the USA Treasury, which is the United States of America. We're not talking federal. With the dividend dollar, which is what they're trying to usher in. And they said 10 years from now, the dollar gain in value will be 34.44%. So there's definitely more. Oh, I see. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I did not really look at the site when I last was on here over the weekend. They have now for the United States of America, they have um, a hidden wealth, which is your asset-backed dollar. You have precious metals, mineral reserves, real estate, land, stock market, recaptured assets, and then it has your total and then wealth per citizen. So it's basically saying that per citizen in this country, your wealth should be at least at $511,560. So that would be just that one clock there. You have several clocks. You have your mortgage and loan calculator, your gold and supply demand, home sales, sources, auto, energy output, gold and precious metals. Now they now have X on here. And again, you can also go by state. You can go by world. There's a world clock. And then you can definitely go backwards and forwards on the time machine because they do tend to estimate. So again, that is the usdebtclock.org. And let me do something real quick before I hit that next. We gotta go ahead and go to the next slide on that PDF. And again, you can join and download your very own copy of the PDF. I'm looking wrong on here. Okay, I'm cool. I'm good. All right. Excuse me. All right. So yes, you can definitely go onto usdebtclock.org and grab you a PDF. All right. So I'm going to go forward in the slide. The second page of the slide is basically just your index telling you what everything is. So I don't even really need to read that because we're going to go over that anyway. All right. The next one, and do I want to read all this crap? I am a believer in a lot of different things. So let's see. A den of thieves. And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers. The second temple in Jerusalem. Money changers, interesting. The only time Jesus showed any kind of aggression or physical display of anger in his entire ministry has the Lord withdrew his disdain for cheating people out of their money through trickery. The answer, of course, we know is no. Today, they're calling this the Federal Reserve Sanctuary. Today, we are witnessing a money changing crime of monumental proportions. Every day, our labor and life energy is being stolen from us by a system that was designed to transfer the wealth of all working people to a small, elite class of money overlords who only chose desire, its power, and control, with nothing to offer but misery and bondage. Um, and that's technically what we're all going through. We are all bonded by our energy. We have to use our energy to make these people this money. It was never supposed to truly be like this in its entirety. I mean, you gotta think about it. The tally system. You have to your top left the first encrypted ledger, which was in 1100 to 1694. They had interest-free tokenized assets. It's hard to believe in our technological age, but there once was a time in England that for 600 years, and this would have been before the banks, money was counted on tally sticks, perfectly forgery-proof sticks of wood that were split lengthwise for two parties to keep track of financial transactions, mostly taxes lost to history. Can the tally stick era return? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt it. Um, you have your bottom left, the tally stick fire in 1834. You had an honest money reinvented. Yes, we now have the technology to create a system that can function as a debt and interest-free money ledger, forever freeing humanity from the fractional reserve banking scheme dreamed up in medieval times to create an asset-backed currency where the people can once again become the owners of their life, liberty, and property. A structure of currency that eliminates theft and corruption by oligarchy. Now, most people don't know that when you buy a house, whether you pay for it cash or had a mortgage and you paid your mortgage off, you may have the deed to the house, but in realization, you don't own it. That house is still owned by the state. The only way you can own a house all free and clear and actually have it truly in your name is when you take it out of state custody. And that means that you have to put it somewhere private. As long as it's in the public, you never truly own it. And that's just with cars too. You can buy all the cars in the world you want, but you still don't own them because guess what? Who has the title on it? Who's on the title? For me, it'll probably be the state of Kansas. But you need the MCO title and have it turned into something private and take it out of the public for it to not belong to the state. So you don't truly own shit. And I love to see people, I own 2, 3 houses and ooh, ooh, ooh. You really don't own shit. If them houses ain't in trust and locked up in the private, you don't own a damn thing. That's just simple as that. We have the Bank of England on the next page. Let's see. They have a banknote, which is a debt security from 1704. We could still be making these type things, but they have stripped those rights away from us. They use debt as money. 1694 in England, a grand experiment was originated. What if money was converted from something of value to a future obligation, a promise to pay, blessed by the government? The world would never be the same. Well, that is currently what we're doing right now. Like when you go get a car loan, the bank doesn't really give you any money. You're literally just paying back money that you promised to pay somebody else. And that person already got the money, which would be your dealership. That dealership would have took the money, took the contract, or well, what else can I call it? Yeah, we'll just say they took your contract. They went to somebody who could securitize that contract and turn it into an obligation. And you've already signed it saying that you promised to pay them such and such money, so they took that obligation. Um, Made it as a promissory note or a promise to pay. They sent it to a bank of some sort or somebody who was authorized to do so, and they securitized your contract before you got those keys. And before you got those keys, whoever securitized that contract sent your dealership or wires your dealership a check for the full balance of the contract. And now you promised to pay them back on their paper, so now that's why you got to pay them back. There was never any money to begin with. Let's see, empires cost money, discipline, war makes debt, and that's why there's always a war. Again, war equals money. Let's see. I guess I can read about it. Part. The experiment works today with very few exceptions. The world operates on a promise to pay system. Money is issued as debt created from nothing. The banks have even gotten the world to believe that this is unpayable debt, and unfunded compounding interest is a security. Now, before the past few years, I've talked about securities a lot, but that talk I have basically cut out of my system because it's just way over a lot of people's heads, and I don't even think I want to go that far anymore. The next page, 1690, Massachusetts, the first colonial paper money you have to the top left. To your right, you have the Currency Act of 1764. Okay. And you have a British, excuse me. All right. My baby kids. Okay. Currency Act of 1764 to your top right. British law that banned the issuing of paper money in the American colonies and require the withdrawal of existing paper money. The act demanded the payment of taxes owed to the crown in hard currency, which would have been gold and silver. That is still why House Joint Resolution 192. The effect was devastating to the colonies, causing a shortage of currency, greatly affecting trade and commerce. Um, to your bottom left, you have pre-war currency from 1770. And then to your right, Benjamin Franklin, 1793. He talks about the colonies and international bankers and the war. All right, next slide. Failed fiat currency. I see quite a bit. History is littered with empires that have collapsed for many reasons, but one of the surest ways to destroy a society is to debauch its currency. The Federal Reserve dollar has lost 97% of its value since its introduction in 1913. The new USA dividend dollar is a revolution in wealth preservation. Now, do we believe that it's going to work like this in due time or not? You have several different countries. Let's see. Germany, 10 makes per dollar, which is 4.2 trillion marks per dollar. I'm sorry, 10 marks per dollar. Um, China, 3 wons per dollar, which is 15,000 wons per dollar now. So it looks like everybody else's money definitely doubled in separate hours, which explains why um the value of the US dollar is extremely higher when it comes to getting it and then um sending it to another country, like how our brothers and sisters do it from Mexico and things like that. They come here to work and they take all that money that they make here and they send it on home, and they live much better than we do here in our own country. So man, we fucked up, and I ain't gonna say we, but the United States fucked up for damn sure. Let's see, the new money revolution, the silver swindle. To the left, you have the Roman era, 270 BC, 280, 300 AD. Silver to gold, price in the mind ratio, 15 to 1. And then you have the US DC era. And if you pay attention, the United States District of Columbia era. And that's why if you see a look on the back of those, you'll see two different pictures. You'll see the US, you see the Roman on the other side. The very system we're operating under. Silver has been the central medium of exchange for centuries. The big banks know they must suppress the price to maintain the illusion of value for their fake fiat debt money system to continue. If you don't know, again, but the dollars, the one, the five, look, $2 too. $2 a little more. It's a little different when it comes to the rest of the denomination. To be honest, you can use $2 bill for more than you can and get paid more than you can for the rest of it. Just depends on how you use it. But your $1 bill, $5, 10, 20, 50, 100, those are all debt notes. That's why if you look on it on the sides, both sides of them, you see two different entities on the back, like your Federal Reserve and what is the damn whatever. Too many conflicting things of what it is, but um those are nothing but debt notes. And if you look on it, it says this tender of debt, the tender a debt note. Let's see where are we at now. The next slide. The greenback. 1862 to 1865, you had the Union. To your bottom left, or middle bottom left, you'll see a United States dollar. Nice little file. I ain't never seen that motherfucker. Then you have the Panic of 1873. Several factors converged in the fall of 1873 to create a panic and a depression that lasted for years. Mm. The Greenback Party emerged out of the financial chaos of 1873 with the simple idea that the government should issue unbacked debt and interest-free money to stifle the influence of the big banks while having half of the equation for honest money in hand. Their approach still led to the disaster of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which gave us 100 years of servitude. They played everybody, of course. We know that. All right, the crime of 1873. Let's break this shit down. Um, let's start at the land of Oz. What was his name? The Oz, the wizard dude. Okay, we lived the Wizard of Oz life. You just don't know it. Money creation is a scam only a wizard could love. You see a homeless guy out here holding a sign saying "We'll work for crossed out food and fiat currency." Says gold, but I prefer silver. That's because that's the only way we're supposed to be transacting. Let's see. You have the year-over-year increase of the U.S. money supply divided by the yearly world production of silver in ounces. Yeah, that's a little crazy. Then to your right, you have an ounce of silver for a day's labor. During a 100-year period from 1773 to 1873, a single ounce of silver paid for the average laborer's daily wage. Today, it would take nearly 10 ounces of silver for a day's wage. So, of course, we know as time went on, things got a little more expensive, or should we say, people got greedier. There's that sign again. The Fed, time's up for the Fed. Fire banking cartel. Now, if you don't know, yes, the Federal Reserve is a banking cartel. The banking cartel belongs to several big families. I wish that our elders, would remember more to tell us what really happened, back in the early 1900s. Let's see. They broke it down: criminal, not federal, and no reserve. So the Federal Reserve System was established in 1913 as a master class financial scheme, an enigma, and as so diabolical and obscure that for over 100 years it has foiled any attempt to decipher its dastardly code of destruction. Under not federal, these founding fathers of deception knew that their plan was the perfect formula to deceive and compromise politicians of the day, to turn over the keys to the magic kingdom of wealth creation. At one point, everybody was creating their own wealth, but now it's so controlled to where they have to know every penny of wealth that you create. And at this point, well, we're getting to a point to where we should be able to create wealth on our own without any restrictions, just using our free will, which is what we want. Under no reserves, it says that the plan was to create a Ponzi scheme at the highest level, a never-ending cycle of debt and interest to trap the American people into a life of servitude, and to take from the government its sacred duty to coin money and regulate the value thereof. So, just people die over money, and I just want to say, I understand that you need it to live, but don't take money seriously, because you kind of got to think about that phrase. What is that phrase? Money is the root of all evil, and I truly believe it is. I think that there's so much other stuff that we can create and use to transacting business so that so many people are just not using a whole lot of energy that they could be using to create and maintain wealth for themselves and then the people around. Next page, the Fed debt money multiplier deception. Let's see. Say I deposit $1,000 to the bank. 90% of deposits lent out gain 7% interest. So the credit supply should be, well, basically the bank will get $1,000. So they put it on the book. You deposit 1,000, the bank gets 1,000. Simple as that. Now, do they take out of their 1,000 that they put on their books from your 1,000 that you deposited? Hell no. They keep it. An illusion is a misrepresentation or deceptive perception of reality, which is what we live now. It's nothing but a fucking illusion. And as soon as we drop the illusion, then the game is over and we can all go to a place and be on better terms of living and all this great shit that we cannot experience because we're living in an illusion that was given to us instead of breaking through the illusion and just living for ourselves. Fake fungibility. For much of the last 400 years, the banks, with the complicity of government, have maintained a carefully controlled illusion that money is fully backed by real world assets. In truth, money is nothing more than a promise to pay in fake debt-backed assets on an infinite timeline. So when they say infinite timeline, you got to understand that we have lived life. Well, I'm not gonna say we have lived, but life has never ended. Um, the world is never ending. It's infinite. It just keeps going and going. The only reason why we continue to go through the same things over and over again is because we are we're frozen basically, and we're unfreezing, thankfully, or in the process of it. And that's what makes everything so much better in my eyes. I understand a lot of people see this as um, the coming of Jesus Christ or the end times because of the revelations, all this other nonsense. Um, the decisions that our government, our president's making is, fucking it up for everybody. This is a test for you to become dependent on yourselves and not your government. Grow some fucking food, build some communities, and detach. That's why we're going through what we're going through. Because money is not always gonna be there. That what they say, you can't take it when you die. So you gotta get over, you know, this little thing about how life is changing. Because if you don't change with it, you're gonna be stuck in the same loop, frozen in time while everybody else is living. All right, next one, rigged by the banks. They have stolen wealth. The gold standard abandoned. So I see 1948 was at 0%. 1971 went to 91%. And then productivity went up, compensation went down. You know what that means. They have theft, heist, robbery, larceny. From its inception in 1910 on Jekyll Island, the Federal Reserve, along with Federal Reserve banking, was designed to extract wealth from the working class to the unproductive banking class. It was a carefully crafted scheme to skim 20% of all commerce and wealth creation into the hands of a few elites or an elite few. They knew that if successful, America would be trapped into a debt spiral impossible to escape from. Now, if you don't understand it, I hope you understand now that you don't have to keep the cycle going. The longer you keep up the illusion, the longer you're living this fucked up type of world. You have your top 1% wealth. They got it from 1990, started about 5 trillion. Now you're at 49. That's your top one, your top 1%. They damn near at 49, $50 trillion. Number of billionaires in 1987 went up, well, went from 140 to current, or excuse me, not current 2024, 2,781. Wealth of billionaires combined. In 1987, it was at 300 billion. Up to 2024, it is at $14 trillion. What the fuck do they need with all of that? Is that something you have to think about? All right, you have the Great Depression. To your left, you have 1928 to 1938. That was our U.S. money supply. You have incompetence and malice between 29 and 33. 9,000 U.S. banks failed. The Federal Reserve flunked at its first test and stopped the fractional reserve banking system, and meant bankruptcy and unemployment for millions of Americans for the banking cartel opportunity, the greatest consolidation of wealth in human history. Power and greed by any means necessary in the banking world is the model of the game. Extracting of wealth, lending money created from nothing to buy assets on margin is the perfect application of this principle. A bait and switch margin call is all needed to scoop up any asset for pennies on the dollar. So while you out here slaving again, slaving for nothing, for pennies, and not making the dollars that they're making off of you is crazy. All right, we have the deflating dollar in slow motion. The federal banking cartel, purchasing power. In 1913, the dollar was worth $1. Down to 1971, it was worth 25 cents. Now, the United States dollar is worth 3 fucking pennies. I know you see down there, 2025, it says 3 cents. So the dollar dropped by 97%. And you motherfuckers is out here funking over 3 pennies? It's not adding up. You have the M2 money supply. It was worth $20 billion in 1913. Now it is worth $22 trillion in 2025. The biggest inverse correlation in human history, and epic fell on a monumental scale. The loss of value of the fiat Fed dollar. You see, they got it in green because it's the green paper that you're using. Is the worst financial crime ever conceived. Generational wealth stolen in a grand scheme to turn a nation into a land of serfs, where a tiny minority at the top benefit from labor of millions of people. So I don't know if y'all ready, but I've been ready to to kick, the Federal Reserve System into the motherfucking curb. Them, IRS, all the niggas can go. And yeah, I said what I said. And I say what I say because I mean what I say. So if you don't like the words that I'm using, that's on you. But all I know is that's just what it is, and that's what I felt like fucking saying. And all them niggas gotta go. The debt money ripoff. Total United States debt from 1960 was at zero. Today, or excuse me, of 2024, $102 trillion. Now we're not saying that that's what it is now because we know it's not. It's 2025, and I guarantee that shit did probably damn near double. The wealth transfer on a gigantic scale is hard for people to believe. It defies description and imagination. But our money is issued as debt. Yes, mathematically, unpayable debt with interest. The system created in 1913 was rigged by the big banks from the start. It was designed to reset when it ground the economy to a halt. When taxes and debt service overwhelm the ability to pay, the trap has been set. So let's flip the tables on the bank. You got three charts down here. Basically credit card debt. 1967, it was at 1.3 billion. Today, per holder of credit card debt, they're saying as of 2024, $8,250. I ain't nowhere near that, so they can't say no. And then you have it's 1.3. I said three, 1.3 trillion. As of 2024. You have mortgage debt was at 54 billion down back in 1950. Now it's at 20 trillion dollars. And if y'all really knew how much they was paying for these houses and these mortgages below $10, and you sit here paying 2 million or 500,000, you be out of your fucking mind if you knew how much they really sell your mortgage for. Because these houses are not worth what they're selling them for. The money they're collecting is fucking free money because they didn't already sold the motherfucker. Your fucking mortgage on the fucking market already. Sold it to somebody else. Instantly. Car loan debt. That shit too. 1943, it was at 340 million. As of 2024, they're saying that it is up to 1.6 trillion. So that went up 4,700 times the amount since 1940. All right, we get to the Ponzi scheme, theft by another name. Let's see. We have $20 million in 1920, Charles Ponzi. $65 billion in 2008, Bernie Madoff. $37 trillion from 1913 to 2025 by the Federal Reserve or Fed. To your right, the fraud. The framers of the Federal Reserve's goal was to so mask the creation of money that the vast majority of people would never understand how they were being cheated. The power to create infinite money, an infinite supply, of interest-bearing money from nothing backed by debt means, in theory, that their crime of ever-increasing unpayable debt would never be discovered, or so they thought. A Ponzi scheme is a form of fraud that lures investors and pays profits to earlier investors with funds from new investors. The new investors are the people who are creating the debt, which is us. We all out here investors, but we are what they call a silent investor. Let's see, inflation. You have your consumer price index from 1930 to 2024. Grand theft by the feds. Inflation is an invention of a word to cover up the biggest crime in human history. The theft of a nation, the proper term is deflation. Because when you're dealing with crime, you blame the perpetrator and not the victim. The value of the dollar is deflated thanks to the 100-year criminal scheme implemented by the banks in their Federal Reserve debt money system. Rising prices are not the fault of other producers of goods and services, which it's not. And I don't. They don't understand that. Let's go to the bottom because of this page. There's some real facts down here. All right, ground beef, a pound of it back in 1930. Must have been great to be alive back. You were paying 12 cents for a pound of ground beef. That has doubled it up to 2024. It's doubled 48 times the amount to $5.80 a pound. A loaf of bread used to be 9 cents. It is now $2.79 a loaf. A can of soup, tomato soup, used to be a dime. It's $1.75. I don't know where they got that $1.75, but it's like $1.90 something or $2. $2 whole. So I don't know where they got that from. Not United States, is it? Must be like Arkansas or something. Because $1.75 sound good. But you see how much it has gone up. Um, hit that next page. You got interest. I got 20%, 0% up here. The Fed, fractional reserve, banking cartel. You got your Ponzi scheme. There is no real money in the system to pay the fake interest imposed by the Fed. This is labeled as phase 2 of the scam. You have your criminal money laundering conspiracy. Looks like they spelled that wrong. It says you have bank loan shark credit at 45% interest. Money lent at 7% interest is turned into 45% by the trick of fractional reserve banking. Your definition: money paid regularly at a particular rate for the use of money lent. That is what interest is. The actual definition of interest is used in a criminal scheme to steal wealth and subjugate an unsuspecting population. This is what's important to me. Our debt is their security. That is the second box under number 2 with the battery. Federal Reserve debt is a carefully contrived fiction foisted upon the American people by a ruling banking oligarchy. Money created as a debt security bond with interest is a fraudulent tool used to siphon wealth away from the productive to the extractor. 20% off the top, thanks to the money created as debt with interest, the Fed bank cartel siphons 20% of GDP each year for shuffling money, the largest criminal scheme in history of the world. I always wonder, if all this money was going to all these different places, why do we have so many homeless people? Why do we have so many low income? We shouldn't even have a fucking low income at all. All right, that next one, the elephant in the room, the total USA interest paid, $5.5 trillion per year. Look at that map. They say from 1980 to 2024. That's your total USA interest paid. Then you have your total healthcare cost, $5.26 trillion per year, $15,425 per person, 14.7 million healthcare workers. So to your right, you also have your revenue. I can't say right now. Imagine an upside down world where a people were paying more interest than they were paying in total federal taxes or combined healthcare costs that the Fedocracy we live in. You have your total federal tax revenue per year, which includes personal income tax, the payroll tax, corporate tax, tariffs, duties, and excise tax. And then the United States, we all know, pays the highest price in the world for healthcare. Most of the rest of the world pays no more than 11%. Somehow they think that we should accept our fate of unlimited servitude to a fraudulent debt-based banking cartel. Now, let's people right here that ain't even no such thing as their health care. You ain't even paying for all that. That's what's crazy. All right, next one. Derivatives. Global currency derivatives. Let's see. I see 729 trillion. Went all the way up from 95. I wonder what happened in 95. The ultimate leverage. How is it possible to go from $0 to $729 trillion in the national value of currency and interest rate derivatives in 30 years? When trades can be leveraged from 10 to 100 times and markets can be manipulated to earn massive profits with little risk. It's easy to see how, with almost no oversight, it's a license to steal, as with all banking. It says it has something players betting on their own game. If any sport When players are found out to be betting on their own teams to win or lose, it's a serious offense, right? Normally, in the world of banking, these rules don't apply. Collusion and rigging of markets is the object of game. The new USA dividend dollar has a constant money supply and stable interest rates of 0 to 3%. All right, the next slide. Tariffs. The USA restoration. Over 100 years, the world has witnessed the horrors of communism and its dehumanizing effect on civilization. You have power, control, and expansion by any means. You have to your left from 1820 to 2024, the U.S. average tariff. And then you have your U.S. average revenue type by payroll and income tax. Down at the bottom, they say the debt money tax prism. How do you destroy the greatest nation ever conceived? You kill incentive by taxing income. Why do you tax income? It's the only way they can fund a federal debt money Ponzi scheme. The new USA Treasury dividend dollar sets America free. Do you really think so? Do y'all really think that America would be set free with a different type of money system? Why can't we, go back to the old ways? That's the barter system. That's what we should be doing. A lot of people don't know about the barter system, but we do it in everyday life. Well, most people do, and I'm sure a lot of other people do it as well. Who, you know, other nationalities do it because I'm not just gonna say that's just us, but that's what we need to go back to. Next page. What is money? You have two sides once again. You have the federal banking cartel, and then you have the USA Treasury, the dividend. All right, hell. Again, we know that the U.S. dollar is only valued at 3 pennies. We know that now. Let's hit the. We're gonna hit the federal banking cartel side. Then we'll hit the U.S. Treasury dividend dollar. The wealth extraction scheme, the federal banking cartel dollar purchasing power, um, basically lost 3% value a year. Loses value every year through inflation backed by unpayable debt. Owned by the federal banking syndicate. Let's see. You see where it says unit of measure, store of value, all that good stuff. Um, they have no variable supply. It was taxed, designed to lose value. This is all about the dollar. It was private and secret, and the felonious taking and removing of personal property with the intent to deprive the rightful owner of it. That's what happens now. Like again, when you buy a car or you buy a house, you don't have the freedom to actually do as you please with your house or your car because you do not own it. It's still owned either by the state, most likely by the state, especially cars, or wherever that main certificate stands. That's who truly owns it. It's not you, because at any given point in time they can take that house or car, right? So you don't own it, even if you have a car that's registered to you as the registered owner. You still don't own that car. The state does. That's why they can pull you over. That's why they can pound it, because it is theirs. They're just letting you borrow the car. You're paying for it, but they let you borrow it because you don't have the MCO title. That's why it's not yours. All right. Well, let's go to the USA Treasury dividend dollar. It looks like at 2025, they're saying that that dollar will be valued at $1. And then by 2039, it would have gone up 50%, all the way up to 21.25. That $1 should be valued at $20. The wealth preservation plan should go up 3% of value a year, gains value every year by intrinsic dividend backed by real world assets. Unlike the federal banking cartel dollar, the green dollars that we already have, which are backed by unpayable debt, because it already says that those are debt tenders for debt. And if most of us know that that number on those dollars are connected to somebody, and it's just it's a whole fucking cycle. 100% ownership of the money by we the people. Then you have the wealth. You have theft on the Federal Reserve side with the green dollars that we use now. Now with the American dividend dollar, uh, it should give wealth, the abundance of valuable material, possessions, or resources, all tangible objects that that have economic utility. We go to our next slide. You have liberty versus tyranny. I like shit like this. All right. So if you don't know that you can currently live in a public or private, um, you can live in a public or private manner. Most of us living in public. If you're using the green dollars, you're living in a public. This is why I'm trying to transition out of the public into the private in full. Not only go from public to private, but create my own community. I already have created my own money. Um, this is the money that I create at home. Um, it's just something that for basically I use for the kids, but it is money. It has my private community's name on there. Um, of course, it has my seal and sigil, and it says on the back, by divine right and sacred trust, we circulate in freedom, create in truth, and receive in abundance, sovereign, eternal, and unlimited. At the bottom of it, I also have Psalms 23:1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I have those on the back of my dollars because I feel like, at some point we should be able to do that. So let's get into liberty versus tyranny. They have the private free enterprise, which is what we are going forward, versus the CBDC prison that they want to go through, which is your digital banking and whatnot. Sorry. So, um, private side, free enterprise. Citizens are free to create boundless wealth and prosperity in a world of plenty. Now, before I get through this and describe the difference between your private and this new digital thing, um, if you vote on the digital, you will not get to experience the private because the world that we are going into is going to be totally different than what we are currently in now. So it's very important to understand, what you're truly getting when you vote for these types of things. Um, you want to stay in the public or do you want a private life? That's basically where we're at. So let's again get into the private side, the free enterprise. All right. Actually, I can do both. Um, So privately, citizens are free to create boundless wealth and prosperity in a world of plenty. Versus the CBDC, central banking prison. They thought they could corral the people into a digital prison. What don't they know? So, private side, you see they both have a card. One says the World Bank with a legal tender, and one says the USA Treasury with lawful money. Now on the back of the dollar you have your Treasury and your Federal Reserve on the back of the dollar. Well, we're removing the Federal Reserve and we're keeping the Treasury part because the Treasury belongs to us, and um, the